You are aware that Johesu, in its patriotic strides and patriotic beliefs, decided to hold back any industrial action in the face of very provocative actions by the federal government against our members. We acted patriotically because a novel virus was rampaging throughout the globe. And Nigeria also had got its own fair share of it. We decided to look at the citizens of Nigeria as paramount in the face of provocations. But today, we are taking a new step. That does not mean that we are no longer patriotic. But we are doing what we want to do today because our patriotism has been taken for foolishness. Because our care, as healthcare service deliverers, has been taken for weakness. Because our commitment to resolving issues through dialogue has been taken for cowardice. Because our demeanor to always look at peace as the first option has been described as a people who cannot endure hunger. Today and after today, at the expiration of our 15 days ultimatum, we will tell Nigerians to bear with us as we will test our abilities, whether we can endure hunger or not. And I assure you, hunger has not killed any, and it will not kill Johesu members. So Johesu will be out on full throttle to ensure that we tell the government and those who believe our people cannot endure hunger that we can also endure hunger. After all, fasting is a tool to get into heaven. Having said so, I want to indulge the press and all comrades to listen to our press statements. A text of an address by the chairman of Johesu at a press conference held on Monday, September 7, 2020 at Ayuba Waba House, Medical Aid Workers Union of Nigeria Headquarters, Cadastral Zone, Area 1, Garki, Abuja. Protocol. The issues at stake will be reviewed under the subject heads. A, State of the Nation. B, Outstanding welfare packages for Johesu members. State of the Nation. Johesu laments the obvious insecurity of lives and properties, which is caused by a wretched budget of less than 1% of GDP of the nation. The federal government, in furtherance of its anti-corruption war, supported by Johesu, must protect whistleblowers from corrupt and privileged government functionaries. Johesu condemns the insensitive deregulation of fuel prices, the introduction of stamp duties to be paid to Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, by tenants in properties, and the hike in the electricity tariff, which all combine to bring further hardship and depression to the doorsteps of citizens. Stakeholders under the aegis of Johesu urged the government to ameliorate the pains of Nigerians and improve quality of healthcare for optimal outcomes in public interest. Outstanding welfare packages for Johesu members. These lingering welfare challenges are: 1. Review of implementation of COVID-19 special inducement and hazard allowance. Payment of all withheld salaries of members at FMC Owerri, Jute, LUT, including April and May 2018 salaries. 3. Adjustment of CONHES salary structure. 4. Implementation of ADR consent judgments and other judgments. Review of implementation of COVID-19 special inducement and hazard allowance. The Federal Ministry of Health has been playing childish tricks with the implementation of COVID-19 inducement allowances, which was originally designed to replace the payment of 5,000 hazard allowance across board to all health workers, with a 50% basic salary of these personnel on April 21st, 2020. On July 1, the federal government again committed itself to the payment of these allowances based on the 50% basic salary earlier agreed with workers, but has gone ahead to truncate the agreement when it paid second tranche of the allowance for June 2020, which now necessitates an appropriate response from our members. Withheld salaries of Johesu members, the federal government continues to implement a selective no work, no pay policy, which has dealt decisive blows on some of our members in FMC Owerri, Jute, and LUT. This discriminatory and outrightly hate policy, I repeat, this discriminatory and outright hate policy was visited on the generality of Johesu members when their April and May 2018 salaries were seized under the watch of the immediate past health minister, Professor Isaac Adewale. At different times, medical doctors under the template of ARD or NRD have gone on strike in LUT for 6 weeks in 2018 and recently in July 2020 without their salaries being withheld. ASU members were on strike for 3 months in 2017 and since March 2020 without threats of pay halt. On June 8, 2020, at a meeting of stakeholders including Johesu, some professional bodies in the health sector and the representatives of the federal government, Dr. Chris Ngige, promised a redress of all withheld salaries through payment in a post-COVID-19 era. Promises of a redress in a post-COVID-19 dispensation can no longer suffice, as this timeline cannot be defined in terms of when such a dispensation kicks off, thus making it imperative to allow such reprieves to become redeemable immediately. 3. Adjustment of CONHES as was done with CONMES. The federal government has serially violated claims to citizenship since 2014, when it adjusted the CONMES scale holistically for doctors and further tinkered selectively with the same scale in 2017. But as continually made it unrealistic to achieve an adjustment of CONHES in tandem with a 2009 MOU between health workers and the Federal Ministry of Health. In portions of the wicked machinations of the top hierarchy of the Federal Ministry of Health and Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, who abduct us, they truncated the efforts of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, which gave an estimate of 22.6 billion as funds to cater for the adjustment of CONHES in 2018. By lying to the Johesu leadership that President Buhari did not approve the estimate because of paucity of funds. This revelation came to light on March 10, 2020, during a courtesy call on President Buhari by Johesu, where the president clearly displayed unawareness, contrary to the claim that they took this memo to him and he refused to approve it. And there they all, in fact, they made it open there that they have not taken it to him. This matter was further complicated at the ADR proceedings between the federal government and Johesu when officials of the Federal Ministry of Health claimed the best the federal government could offer for adjustment of CONHES was $2 billion. After Johesu had rejected the $6.5 billion proposed by the federal government for this endeavor, which the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission had initially put at $22.6 billion. Johesu strongly posits that the federal government should mandate a neutral official like the Honorable Minister of State for Labor, Barrister Festus Keyamo, SAN, to lead the federal government negotiation team to redress the grievances of Johesu on this subject matter. The precedence of late Barrister James Ocholi, SAN, in 2016, in this regard remains a positive reference point. Implementation of ADR consent judgments. Johesu demands that the Federal Ministry of Health be compelled to set up the reflected structures in line with the NICN judgments. A. Central Internship Placement Committee for all eligible health professionals. B. Payment of all promotions and skipping arrears. C. Redress of concerns of understaffing and irregular employment affecting Johesu members, thus a staff audit committee. V. Payment of specialist allowance for health professionals. E. Increase in retirement age of health workers from 60 to 65 years. F. Appointment of representative of PSN and other affiliate members of Johesu to fill vacant board membership slots at NOFIC, Abakaliki, National Eye Center, Kaduna, and the National EA Center. G. Immediate commencement of fresh negotiations of adjustment of CONHES. We are talking about the implementation of the agreement, negotiating the implementation of the agreement that has been stalled for years now. Demands. Provision of COVID-19 palliatives to the citizenry by federal government at all levels, while also redressing decaying infrastructures in all sectors of the economy. 2, immediate payment of the shortfall of COVID-19 allowances to health workers in FHIs, while states and LGs develop a framework to cater for their health workers. Unconditional payment of all withheld salaries at FMC Owerri, JUT, LUT, and the complements of April and May 2018 salaries vindictively orchestrated by Professor Isaac Adewole, the former Minister of Health. 4, the federal government is admonished to empower Barrister Festus Keyamo SAN, the Honorable Minister of State for Labor, to lead negotiations on behalf of the federal government to redress the injustice inherent in the unending clamor for the adjustment of CONHES. 5, President Buhari must direct the Federal Ministry of Health to obey all court judgments, including that of the NICN of March 2019, if they expect the citizens to obey court orders. Our declaration. In the event that the 5 major demands and the their attendant sub-demands are not met by the federal government, by midnight of September 13th, 2020, Johesu will commence a nationwide 7 days warning strike of our members in all FHIs. The state and local government health institutions are placed on notice for further directives to join the fray. This is authorization by the entire leadership of Johesu, made up of the 5 registered trade unions and APA, and the presidents and secretary generals of over 40 professional associations under Johesu and APA in the health sector of this country, as well as the strong voices for whom this strike action or any action cannot be called off. That is the state leadership of Johesu and the branch leadership that have been invited into this meeting to take this very crucial decision.